So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you this day. Thank you for responding and joining me on this live Born to Lead broadcast. And today we're going to be talking about how to build a strong team. On Wednesday, I mentioned a few things about the importance and value attached to working with a team. And I do recognize and realize that it isn't everybody who knows the value of working in a team. So today, I'm daring to talk to us on how to build that team that will give you success in life. Once again, let it be noted that nobody succeeds without a team. I've heard music, I've heard or read articles where people declare themselves as self-made people or self-made millionaires. Now, I would say this again, like I've said oftentimes, that if you consider yourself as a self-made person, it's one or two or one or two reasons that of things that you've not seen. One is either you've not recognized and appreciated everyone that helped you on your way to success. And by the way, success is not a destination. Success is a journey. Is the goal that you gain every day of your life. So success is not just a destination, it is a trip, it is a journey. Now, along the line, if you think you are a self-made person, you are a self-made successful person, then you have not, one, recognized the value of people and their contributions to your life, or two, you have not attained the height of success that you think you should have attained. That's what a number of us find ourselves wanting in. So today, well, last week we talked about building the importance of a team or working with a team. Today we're going to look at how to build a strong team so that you can draw maximum effect and maximum value from the strong team. Now, you've got to note that in drawing value from a strong team or in raising a strong team, there are a number of factors, all right, that you've got to consider and put in place to be able to maximize or get the benefit of what you can get from a team. And I'm going to take time to read out some of those benefits or discuss some of those benefits and hope that um, you gain advantage from that. Let me also state that a good team is not built in a day. A good team is built over time. And just like every venture in life, it takes time to be able to achieve or attain any success that you want to achieve or attain. So if you begin with these factors today and think eventually after 6 months or 1 year that you haven't gotten a strong team as you ought to get them, I would encourage you to continue striving on a daily basis so that you can build a strong team that will enable you stand. So take note that a strong team is not built in a fortnight, is not built in a day, it is built over time. So as you listen to the factors and you try to practice them and put them in place, please note that you cannot achieve or attain all of what is mentioned within a day or just within one attempt of try. So that's the first thing that I've got to let us know. So there are about 11 or so factors that you've got to consider when you are building the team. And I've said that a team or a good team cannot be built in one day. One other principle that we must note is that no matter what you're doing, no matter how big your work or small your work is, it is usually too much work for you alone to achieve. Okay? If you are doing a job that only you can and only your strength is necessary to achieve that job, then I dare say to you that you are not doing enough in life. You are not attaining the heights. You are not reaching the goals. You are not successfully reaching the place where you ought to reach when you require success. Every goal that is attained by an individual is an insufficient goal, very insufficient goal. Okay? So you must go beyond just that goal that only you as an individual can achieve. Note also that a successful team, okay, exists to allow an individual to grow and endeavor to grow. It enables or assists in any vision to go beyond the visioner. Okay, that's one thing that we've got to know. A successful team helps the visioner go beyond his dream and so on and so forth. I said this a few lessons ago that I had the privilege of leading a youth team at one time, and I drew out um, I wrote down the goals and targets or aspiration of the goals as the leader of the group, and I thought this should be sufficient to help the group grow to where it wants to grow to. Then I basically presented the documents to everybody who was around me and asked that they go through the document and see the direction to which the group will be flowing as a leadership team. And you know what? By the end of the day, that document had grown into something large and massive. Okay? So all I had done was to draw out the skeleton. All I had done was to write out the framework. But eventually, when other members of the team continue to choke in spaces that they found and to create a whole network, it turned out that the goals on paper grew bigger, they grew larger, they grew beyond my wildest imagination. And at the end of our tenure after 6 years, a lot of people applauded us for that success. Well, of course, as a leader, as a team leader, I knew that the success did not belong to me. So I gave to everyone commendation for their hard work and success which they had brought to bear. So note that every job that you do that can be done by you is a small job. Anything in life that you can do and you alone can do it and think that it is successful, I tell you, it is beneath you. It is a low job. You must begin to think bigger than yourself. Okay? And every time you think bigger than yourself, then I tell you, you require a team to be able to succeed and to do the things that are required of you to succeed. So today I'm going to speak basically on how to build a strong team. How to build a strong team. And the first factor that you must consider when you want to build a strong team is to establish expectations and set goals for the team. So before you recruit persons into the team, you must know where your direction in life is. You must know what the direction and the purpose of the team will be. People get challenged when they are confronted with goals and they are told, pointed out targets that they need to pursue and to be able to attain and to achieve. So before you begin to recruit people into your team, you must first of all sit down and write out the goals and expectations from the team. It may be a family, okay? Before you begin to have children, or before you even have a wife, if you're a man, before you have a wife, you must have a vision about life. You must know your purpose about life. You must know the direction of life that you're driving to. And the direction will determine the kind of wife or husband that you get married to. And the direction will also determine the number of children to be had in that family. So unless you set an expectation, unless you set the goals out on a daily or well, a daily goals for your life, you cannot know who should come onto your team. Most of us spend time, burn energy, waste resources, recruiting members of our team without knowing the direction that we're supposed to be going to in life. So your first assignment as a leader to be able to raise a team and build a strong team is to set down and establish your expectations and goals for life. It may be a construction company. Set down the target for the construction company. What is the expectation? It may be a church. What is the dream? What is the expectation of the church? Okay? It may be a football team. You must know your direction and expectation in life before you begin to recruit members of your team. Excuse me. After you do that, then you can begin to select players for your team. So the second goal or the second thing or second factor you need in building a team is to select players and members of your team. And of course, you know that your goals and your expectations will determine who should come on your team or not. For a football team, if you had watched the the flyer or the cover for this and broadcast, you would have seen that I placed the picture of the football team, the national football team of Nigeria, the Super Eagles, and the 1994 set was the team that I chose to make the theme of this discussion. Okay, in that team, players of different backgrounds were selected, but players who understood the core of the team, who understood the goals of the team, who understood the direction, the purpose for which the team was formed and established. Those were the players that were recruited into that team. In fact, in going to the World Cup, there was some level of pressure on the coach, then Clement Westerhoff, to have him select a particular player, Nduka Ubadi, who had played for the under 17, had played for the under 21, and they thought it would have been a perfect thing to have him play for the Super Eagles, which would have meant that he had played all three World Cups that Nigeria had been involved in from the age group to the senior team. But of course, he was not selected. Why? Because the coach, then Clement Westerhoff, had a goal in mind. He had a purpose, he had a direction. He had the kind of players, or he had a picture of the kind of players that he expected to play in the team. And so he selected players and left Nduka Ubadi out. Of course, Nduka Ubadi would have been in the team. He was a fair player at that time and could have maybe made one or two small contributions to the team. But overall, the thought of the coach was, will this player have amounted to much in the team? Okay? So when you select players for your team, you must find out, will this player amount to much as far as my team is concerned? Does this player know the overall purpose, the overall focus, the overall direction of the team that we're forming? So in building a strong team, while the first factor is to establish your expectations and your goals, the next factor is to select players who respect the goals, who respect the expectations, who know the general direction of the team. If you choose a wet blanket, all right, someone who douses everything or someone who causes confusion on the team, you will discover eventually that what will happen is that the team will be slowed down. If you hire a grumbler, someone who grumbles at everything, it means that at every hiccup, at every situation, at every point where you have an obstacle, that person will grumble until he or she discourages everybody on the team. In picking members of your team, you must pick people who do not only respect the team, but also are positively minded in life. People who have a positive disposition about life. People who have a positive attitude, where every obstacle is considered as an opportunity for growth. Where rather than sit grumbling on decisions, they are ready to rise up and make decisions that will propel the entire team forward. So your first target is to set the goals for the team. The next is to recruit players who understand the goals. The third is to say that in recruiting players for the goal, you must be diverse. You must choose members of diverse, well, there must be some level of diversity in the team. What is the advantage of having diversity in the team? And when I say diversity, what are the things that I mean when I say get a diverse team? I simply mean that you get people of different ages, people of different races, people from different nations or tribes or religious backgrounds, people who have backgrounds that are different from each other. Okay? The advantage is this, is that if you have in a team people of different backgrounds, they come with their different expectations, they come with their different experiences in life, they come with their different perspective, they come with their different viewpoint concerning the same one goal that you have set down for them to follow. And because they have diverse mentality, they have diverse experiences, they have diverse training, they will bring to bear their diversity in trying to achieve and attain the goal. And you would agree with me that where diversity flourishes, all right, creativity also flourishes. There are people who see things in black and white. There are others who see the gray part of everything. And in life, you need those kind of those group of two categories of persons. You need people who see everything in black and white. You need people who see everything in gray. Okay? It's not about color blindness. It's about how they see life. And for you to make progress, for you to succeed, for you to build a team that can be prosperous, a team that can be successful, you need diversity in everything that you do. So my encouragement, all right, as to the third factor is that when you are choosing players for your team, choose diverse players. Again, I return to the 1994 set of the Super Eagles that I mentioned earlier on. In that group, you had fast-paced players. Players who, like Amunike, when they grabbed the ball, they could outrun everybody from the flank. And you had a man like Daniel Amokachi, who was more, in fact, at that time, he was called the Bull, who was more like the bully of the team. So if they met a rugged team that was physically rugged and strong, Daniel Amokachi came in to diffuse the tension. You had a prolific goal scorer like Rashidi Yekini, one who, at the slightest touch of the ball, he could convert it into a goal. And you had Emeka Nziogu, also a defender who was rugged to the core. Now, that team succeeded because they were diverse in very many areas. You had defenders, you had midfielders, you had attackers. Okay? People who saw everything in terms of goal and people who saw everything in terms of defense. That was the kind of team that was built at that time. No wonder that team succeeded, went to the World Cup, and ended up being the most entertaining team of the World Cup. In choosing players for your team, you must choose diversity. Diversity must come into play. In a construction company, you have architects, you have builders, you have lawyers, you have cost engineers, you have surveyors, estate surveyors, quantity surveyors, and so on and so forth. All right? You have all sorts of persons on the team. Why? Because diversity brings creativity on the team. And where there is creativity on a team, the team becomes exciting, the team becomes challenging, the team becomes successful in everything he or she or the team does. Okay? Thank you, Stephanie Adebire, for your comment, and thank you for joining me at a time like this. Again, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, just send in your comments. I will read through the comments. I'll post them where possible and get us to make contributions as much as possible. If there's anything I'm discussing that sounds too strange to you, you want to draw my attention, if there's something you're not clear about, if there's something you want me to slow down on, please just paste on the comment section and I'll read through the comments and let others know or discuss about the issue. So thank you, Stephanie, for coming online and for everyone who is online with me. Now, having said that, to get a team, you need to establish an expectation as the first factor. Two, you need to select players. Three, in selecting players, you need diversity, people of diverse background. The next is that for you to build a strong team, you have got to respect everybody on the team. Having selected them, you have got to respect and show value for everyone on the team. We are all different individuals. Even identical twins will most necessarily, or sometimes most necessarily, have different experiences in life. We all have different stories in life. Some grew up as orphans. Some had their parents until they became adults. Okay? Some grew up with single parents. And even in growing up with single parents, some grew up with single mothers, all right, or some grew up with a single parent father or a single father parent, so to speak. Okay? Now, the truth is that because we all have different backgrounds, we all have probably different values, we all have different experiences and different stories. We expect to be respected for our stories. We expect that we will be given value for no matter how small our roles are in the team. And so, for you to build a strong team, you must give value that is due to everyone. You must value everybody's role. In an organization, the driver is as important as the manager. Okay? Because without the driver, certain things will be missing. And so, in giving value, you must give the driver the due value or value that is due him or her in that workplace. I go into organizations, I go into families, and I see how people's roles have been downplayed. A friend of mine once shared with us, my wife and I, a story that happened to her. All right, she said she had always placed less value on her husband. Well, she respected him, but she didn't give him value as she thought should have been given to him until the husband had to travel for a course for 1 year. Then there were so many things she took for granted and thought they were not important, okay? And thought anybody could do them. Things as little as changing bulbs in the house. She thought anybody could do them. And so every time her husband changed bulbs in the house, she didn't place much value on that role as a husband until he went for a course for about a year. And then she realized the things she took for granted were the very things that made her live her life with peace, with pleasantness. The very things that gave her pleasure, the very things that made her life easy, the very things that enabled her perform her own role were the very things she looked down on. And so she said after a few months, she had missed her husband, not necessarily because she was in love with him, but because of the roles he was playing in the house. And she had started to call him to ask whether he will return very soon. And of course, my guess is that even though the husband never mentioned to us, but I'm sure wherever he was, he also would have felt that there were certain things about the wife that he didn't place due value upon. And this is a challenge to every member of the family, especially to husbands. Give value to everyone that is due him or her. Wives, value your husband's role, no matter how small, no matter how little your husband's role is in the home. Children, place high value on your parents. And I challenge the parents to place high value on their children. Again, I know of an elderly person who built a very massive house. In fact, then I was in Delta State of Nigeria doing my National Youth Service Corps. Okay? He had a 6-bedroom apartment, a duplex, with 3 sitting areas and so on and so forth. Because he had a number of children at home, and suddenly the children became adults and they started to move out of the house one after the other. It got to the point where the house became too big for the man and his wife. It became too large for them to maintain, to the extent that anyone who came for service, they sought an opportunity to have someone live in the house with them. Assuming these parents perhaps didn't place value on their children, they've come to realize that these children had value. So, in choosing members of a team and in building a strong team, you must respect your team members. You must respect your teammates. You must place value on the roles that they play in their home, in the home, or in the organization, or in life generally. If you do not place value on people, your team will not blossom. Because everyone who is honored and respected for their unique role, for their unique gift, for their unique ability, always strive to do better than what they were commended for. So the third point, or fourth point rather, is to place value on members of your team. The fifth point in building a strong team is to ensure connection within the team. Ensure that first, every individual recognizes the other person as a human being. As humans, we have the tendency to categorize ourselves, to classify ourselves, to put ourselves in cliques, such that in families, in workplaces, in worship centers, wherever we find ourselves, we just tend to gravitate towards certain people and neglect others. That isn't good. If you want to build a team, you cannot afford to neglect anybody. Therefore, you must ensure that people connect one with another. And how do you ensure connection? One way to do this is to ensure that people greet in such a friendly manner that everyone feels free to discuss with the other person anything that bothers him or her. When I work with teams, I try to be very personal with them. Of course, not everybody can be your friend. That's how life is. Not everybody can be your friend, but you know what? You can relate perfectly well with everybody that you come across. So I try to be very personal. I try to know people's names. I try to know what they like and what they do not like. I try to know their birthdays. Okay? I try to know if they are married, and if they are married, I try to know their partners. I try to know their children if they have children. That's what I do when I work with teams. And by doing so, okay, I become close and closely knitted with members of the team to the extent that people begin to share personal stories and personal struggles in life with me. And so I encourage you, as the fifth factor for building a team, to ensure that people connect one with another within the team. You can have social nights, you can have hangouts after work, or as a family, you go to a park, you relax in an environment an environment that ensures freedom, an environment that ensures friendliness. So ensure that you have a team. Ensure that you have a team. And in ensuring that you have a good team, ensure that the team members connect one with another, that they become friends. Even if not friends, that they become acquaintances one with another. And of course, I've known families that everyone seems to be at each other's throat. You know of organizations where there is internal rivalry, where everybody thinks the other one is an enemy of himself or herself. Where such festers, team building becomes exceptionally difficult. And where you're unable to build a good team, okay? Where you're unable to build a good team, you won't further much in whatever you have set out to do. So I encourage you, ensure that people connect one with another, that people become friends one with another. The next is to be emotionally intelligent. And I said earlier on that in respecting people, in respecting their roles, you must learn to do what? Respect them as individuals. Even identical twins have their individuality. And emotional intelligence suggests that we treat every individual as a human being. We must embrace different work styles. I hear motivational speakers, I hear people who teach and tell you, oh, you must use the first hour of the day as your best hour for work and so on and so forth. I tried it several times, but you know what? But you know what? I've come to realize I work best at night. I work best at night, where everyone is asleep, everywhere is quiet, and I have full concentration at that point. Not only do I like working at night, I also like to work when there is music. My wife and I differ in that respect. When my wife reads books, she wants everywhere to be quiet. When I read books, I want the music to be playing. Now, if you are not emotionally intelligent, you will think that I am a noisy person and that my wife is a quiet person. So if you are gravitating towards quietness, you would prefer my wife over me. Okay? If you are gravitating towards a noisy environment, you may most likely prefer me over my wife. But someone who is building a team will recognize that both individuals can be suited into a team and bring about diversity as far as the team is concerned. So we must realize and recognize everyone as a human being. We must realize and recognize everyone as having a different work style, a different form of motivation. An emotionally intelligent leader knows what motivates every member of the team. And what motivates every member of the team is distinct for every individual. So rather than count every individual's difference as a loss or as a liability, count them as an asset. See them as an asset, as a plus for the team. Respect every individual as a human being for who they are and the differences that they bring to the team. And you will see that you build a strong team and have that team work well. There are people who are motivated by money. Some are just motivated by a simple pat on the back. Some are motivated by simple words of appreciation. Only yesterday I attended a wedding, all right, where it was an interesting wedding that had lingered for long. So a number of people defied the lockdown and showed up at the wedding. Of course, we kept our distances, but again, everyone was excited. Now, there was an elderly woman who motivated herself to gather contributions from people in terms of money to support that couple. And only yesterday she transferred the funds to the lady's account and expected that the lady should have sent a text to acknowledge that that money had hit her account and that she was appreciative of it. Now, the lady didn't send the text, but at the venue of the wedding, the lady appreciated her and showed her respect and thankfulness for the good work that she had done. But you know what? The older lady complained and grumbled about that in the evening and said, no, this lady should have sent a text to me to say she had gotten this money. It would have been preferable than waiting to see me. Well, I tried to talk to the older woman to say, well, you must understand our differences. There are certain people I don't speak to on phone because I think and consider it as being disrespectful. It is me. The other person has not even told me it is disrespectful, but I just feel and think that it is disrespectful to speak to certain people on phones. We all have these differences, and we all have different things that motivate us. So a good leader who is building a strong team understands this factor and positions himself to understand what motivates every individual and makes every effort within his power to motivate every individual according to how the individual will get truly motivated. So in choosing a team or in building a strong team, you must have emotional intelligence. The next is that motivation must be positive. A number of us are critics, and in criticizing people, we pull them down. We do not show respect for the little effort that they have done to improve the organization, to improve the family, to improve the lot of people around them. We rather concentrate on their areas of weaknesses, on their areas of failure, on their areas of shortcomings, and rather than encourage and motivate them to do more beyond the little strength and energy that they put in, we discourage them in life. If you want to build a strong team, you must motivate people positively. You must resist the urge to criticize team members' mistakes. Of course, I'm not saying you downplay their errors or mistakes, but how you correct them about their mistakes will determine whether they will repeat the mistakes or improve over the mistakes that they've made. If you criticize people over their mistakes rather than commending their effort for even attempting, you have discouraged them from even raising up their hands or fingers to do anything anymore. I grew up in a home where my father concentrated on your errors. My mother concentrated on your strength. So every time I made an error, my father was harsh on the errors that I had made, but never commended me for doing good. And within the same scenario, the same picture, my mother encouraged me to say, well, you've made this error, but next time you should have done one, two, three, four. It would improve your work. But for this part that you didn't make an error, I commend you and I say continue to improve on that part. So I pity children who, for example, grow up in situations where the mother is negative, the father is negative. You will kill the spirit of those children. You will so demotivate them that the children never see any reason to take up the challenge to do anything anymore. So motivation must be positive. Do not dwell on people's mistakes. Build up on their strength. Every time you build a team, look out for where strength has been shown. Look out for where positivity has been shown. Look out for where progress has been made and commend the progress while trying in the most loving manner to correct the errors that have been made. To build a strong team, you need to also communicate. Communication is extremely important. As human beings, we love to know everything around us that affects us or impacts on our lives. As a wife, I know you are interested in hearing your husband's vision, your husband's direction, and the things that your husband has decided over certain things. And I'm saying this from experience. And as a husband, as a father, you love to know everything about your children. But there is no better way to get to know everything about your children than the means of communication. As a leader, you must communicate with your team members, even on things that do not have direct impact over their lives. I used to work in a security organization, and we had classification of information from restricted to secret to confidential and so on and so forth. All right. Then we had a popular saying, which was that information got to you on a basis of need to know. If you didn't need to know, they didn't communicate to you. Okay? That's for the security organization. But I say, if you live in a family, you must learn to communicate with everybody so they understand what the family is all about. Yes, on the basis of the need to know, there is a way that you communicate information even to junior workers or to colleagues at your place of work, that you do not let out the huge secret of the organization, but you let members of your team know that they are being carried along. It is going to be disheartening to have members of a team work with you, and yet members of this team do not even know what the team's next direction is or may be. Communication is the lifeline, is at the heart of every strong and powerful marriage. Communication is at the heart of every strong and powerful organization. And when you communicate, please ensure that you send across the right message. Ensure that you send across the right message, because sometimes we think that communication is just talking and reading out words. No, communication is passing information from one level to the other, ensuring that the person who listens to you understands what you are talking about. That's what communication is. So, to build a strong team, you must learn to communicate and communicate effectively with every member of the team. The next, if you are building a strong team, is to creatively reward good work. Reward good work. Besides showing appreciation by words of mouth, you must learn to reward good work. People love affirmation of their work, and particularly if they are working hard. So, in order to do justice to their good work and to their hard work, you must learn to creatively, and I use that word deliberately, creatively reward good work. Because, like I mentioned earlier on, we get motivated by different things. Some people love to be appreciated in a crowd. Some people love to be appreciated quietly in the corner of their office. No matter how people feel, or no matter what style people choose about motivation and about reward, it is important to reward people. Reward their good work. Because people love to be affirmed. People love to be patted on the back. People love to be told when they are doing good. And so, to build a good team, you must learn to reward good work by the most creative means as much as possible. There are organizations that hold end of year parties, and at the parties, people are giving awards for long term service, they are giving awards for achievements, they are giving awards for inventions, they are giving awards for punctuality, they are giving award for creativity. As many awards as can be possible, you must get to reward your team members. I know of a team that once they've made profit, all right, the leader of the team takes them out for an evening hangout, drawing from the profit. They are going to be paid for their work, but out of the profit, the leader takes them out on a hangout. So sometimes they just go eat roasted fish. Sometimes they just go to parks to have fun and so on and so forth. But members of the team feel so rewarded, feel so motivated, feel so encouraged that they put in their best year in, year out. Year in, year out. So you must learn to reward good and hard work. The next factor is to learn to trust your team. Learn to trust your team. When you choose members who belong to your team, you have chosen people that you know can do the work that you want them to do. Therefore, you must learn to allow them make leadership decisions. That's trust. Don't micromanage your team players. In a football team, there are basic trainings that you get, okay? But on the field, while play is on, there are certain players that love to show creativity. And you know why they do that? Because they trust that their coaches will appreciate the creativity that they bring into the game of play. They trust that their coaches will trust them as members of the team. I've hardly seen anyone who scores a beautiful goal that the coach leaves out the next time and says that because you scored a goal when I thought you should not have scored a goal, when I thought you should have made a pass and you scored a goal, therefore I'm leaving you out. I've rarely seen anything that does that. So for you to build a strong team, you must learn to trust your team. You must learn to empower them to grow to the point of leadership. Okay? You must learn to empower them to take decisions, critical decisions, even in your absence. And by the way, life is transient. So you may be here today, but not be here tomorrow. Now, if you do not trust your team to walk behind your back, one thing is that you will never go on leave. Never. You constantly be working from day to day, night to night, 247, 365, 1/4 days of the year. And that will break you down. The reason why CEOs travel on holidays, the reason why managers travel on holidays is because they trust members of the team to take decisions that are suiting and rightful for the organization. Of course, there are others who never go on leave. Why? Because they do not trust their team. For you to build a strong team, you must learn to trust members of your team. And in showing trust, you must allow them make leadership decisions that have an impact on the organization, that have an impact on the family, that have an impact on the worship center. Allow them make decisions that will progress everyone in the organization. And finally, the 11th point is that you must learn to train members of your team. For you to have a strong team, for you to build a strong team, you must learn to train members of your team. The essence of training is so you can empower them. And true leadership is about empowerment. True leadership is not about the use of power. It is about the empowerment of people. And for you to empower people, you have got to train them. Allow them go on courses. All right? Allow them go on trainings. Okay? Allow them improve their educational statuses. Allow them be better persons than they came into the team. And eventually, they will not only appreciate you as a team lead, but they will find it difficult to break away from the team. They will find it hard to run away from the team. So my encouragement to you today is that you must learn to train team members to grow. Every individual loves to grow. Every individual gets excited when an opportunity for growth shows up. There are some that may take for granted the opportunity to grow, but once you show them why you want them to grow, I tell you, every individual gets excited about it. So my challenge is that you must learn to let every individual grow. And by doing so, you must learn to train them. These are the 11 factors that would help you build a strong team. And I'll just summarize by running through them one after the other as I round up. The first, I say you must learn to do what? To establish your goals for the organization, your expectations. And the reason is that your goals and your expectations determine the players that you will recruit into your team. So having set goals and expectations, the next is to recruit players into your team. Players who respect the goals, players who respect your direction. And having recruited players into your team, you must learn to respect and value their roles as individuals. And when you value and respect their roles as individuals, you must also ensure that you bring in a team of diverse people, people with diverse backgrounds. That's the fourth. You must encourage diversity in your team. People of different experiences, people of different backgrounds, people of different ages, let them come together and work. You will see creativity will flourish in your team. To build a strong team, number 5, you need to ensure connection with members of your team. Ensure that everyone sees individuals as human beings. And number 5 or number 6, you as a team lead must also practice emotional intelligence, which is seeing human beings as being human beings. Even though they differ in how they work, in where they work from, in what they appreciate, you must learn to appreciate them as human beings. Number 7, you must learn to motivate them by the most positive means available. While number 8 is that you must learn to communicate. Communication is the lifeline, the life wire of any group, families, companies, organizations, non-governmental organizations. If communication flows easily, I tell you, members of the team will be motivated, members of the team will be excited about the team. The other is to learn to creatively reward good work and hard work. You must also learn to trust members of your team while you engage them. And finally, you must learn to train team members, help them to grow. Help them to grow to be like you, and if possible, to surpass you. These are the 11 steps that I believe will enable you build a strong team if you cautiously and deliberately follow each of these steps in recruiting and organizing your team. I'll stop at this point, but not without appreciating you for taking time to be with me online and for taking time to listen to me. Now, Born to Lead would like to have you send comments. We'd like to have you have discussions with us as we do this broadcast. We'd like to have you ask questions, okay? We'd love to also have you discuss things that are necessary and you think we need to discuss as far as Born to Lead is concerned. We'd appreciate those efforts if we see your comments. Would appreciate your criticisms, as it were, how to help us grow. Would appreciate every comment that will come our way. Thank you so much. Again, at the scroll bar, you'll see how to make contact with members of Born to Lead organization. Thank you for your time. Thank you, my sister, Christina Chris Gaius. Thank you, Stephanie Adebire. Thank you, Seidu Daniel, for your words of commendation. Thank you for all the comments that you've been posting as members who have been following you. I pray that you continue to grow from strength to strength. I pray that you become better leaders wherever you find yourself. Thank you and have a beautiful weekend. See you on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Cheers.